What's up, everyone? So we just got done watching the new Netflix Skull Island series, and we're going to talk about it, give our thoughts real fast and quick, so you better pay attention and keep up with this. For this video, we have, of course, myself, Jacob, and we have Alistair. You know him from the channel, I think, right? Hi, look at him.
Hello.
He's British. Look at that. Yeah, cool. And, of course, we have Joe from GojiCenter and the Beast Hub. We're doing the whole Beast Hub vibe right now for you guys to talk about this show, because it's probably the best way to talk about it. So we're going to get right into it and kind of talk about, you know, our expectations versus the reality of the show. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I came in cautiously optimistic, and I think I gave a little tiny miniature review on Instagram. And I'm going to just say the same thing here. It's a little bit better than I thought. Yeah, it's a little bit better than I thought. I was pleasantly surprised with the build up to like the final fight, because that's really all the reason why I watched it. Has a good build up, has a good introduction to the big bad animal, big bad kaiju, and then like throughout the whole thing you see like little hints and things that, you know, there's like some sort of beef going on, and then like towards the end we see that there was some pretty, you know, good beef going on, and then you understand why they kind of don't like each other, or one of them's just an asshole, you know, and I like that they gave that character to the bad guy. It's pretty cool, you know. Besides that, I mean, of course you have your little cringy moments and forced humor or whatever, kind of like what happened in King of the Monsters, but I mean, if you look past that, I think it's pretty solid, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to think that, you know, my expectations were interesting with this show, because I'm a big fan of this studio's past work, like Castlevania and all that, and I think I enjoy watching cartoon stuff more than maybe the three of us else here. So like, I was looking into this as more than just a MonsterVerse fan, almost like an animation cartoon fan. So like, I kept going through these waves of emotions with this show. I was really hyped, and then I went really down, and then the show it was better than the trailers, I think. And I think the trailers were kind of poorly made for this show. What do you say about that, Al?
Yeah, I think the trailers did a pretty poor job kind of getting the vibe of the show across. That first teaser was god awful. The second, you know, that clip that we saw, it was a bit more action orientated. That one was a bit better, but they could have absolutely gone with a more like mystery approach to the show, because it does have some mystery to it. There's plenty of like the plant life and animals and like really beautiful scenic shots that, you know, give the vibe that this whole thing is like a mystery, and you're uncovering it and you're part of it because you're with these characters. So like, after the trailer, my expectations was quite low. I was trying to keep them high, but I was keeping them low for just so I go out, you know, thinking, oh, that's better than I thought it was, and you know what, it was better than I thought it was. So yeah, I mean, the animation,
that's our review for
the animation
series.
Specifically, I think was better than I expected. I don't know if the trailer was just unfinished, or if getting a better look at it in like full motion was a different experience. I thought for the most part the animation was actually really good, bar like that one shot of the Kraken, which still looks like it's from like some nursery cartoon. There's violence, there's blood, there's people dying, there's monster blood, it literally rains blood from the sky. It was brutal. Like, you can actually get a great sense of Kong's emotions as well, whether he's angry or sad, reflective. Like, it does a brilliant job doing that, even with the limited like facial, you know, movements that you can do when those are the 2D animation. For the most part, I think it did a pretty great job, especially the first episode and the last two episodes are excellent. I agree with that. But stuff between then is like, it's okay, it's serviceable, but like
it's enjoyable but forgettable.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
But the first episode and the last two, like some of the best cartoon stuff. Like, if the whole series was the first episode and the last two, it would have been like, whoa, I think everybody would have been a little blown away from this. But let's go ahead and talk about what we're all mostly excited for, the monsters and the gore. So, first off, what are you guys' favorite monster in this series, other than Kong, of course?
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I like the... Obviously, I'm always gonna say I like the crocodile. The crocodile was pretty cool.
Giga Croc.
And secondly, I kind of like the little eagle. It was so little, by the way. It was like I like the concept.
It was like a normal hawk. Yeah.
Like he literally, like when Kong literally just went like this, and then the freaking hawk just landed on him. Not just like
Very
I was
cute.
like, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool because it is plausible, you know, because you have animals.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, you have animals who coexist, you know, and then Kong being like the super smart animal, and birds are also smart too. So you know, I'd like to imagine this bird was also really smart. Like they found a way to not only coexist, but to be friends, you know, to like kind of look out
like work
for
together.
each other. And I'm like, that's dope, you know, that's like Kong's version of.
That was a really cool
I'm not going to compare this bird to Mothra, but it's like his Mothra, you know, kind of like that analogy there, because, you know, they have like, you know, this animal looks after Kong and feeds him sometimes and gives him food, and, you know, it's kind of cool, you know. I'm like, that's dope, you know. I would like
definitely.
to see this bird grow in Titan form.
I'd like to see that concept come out more, you know, like Al and I have mentioned the whole Beastmaster thing multiple times, and if like we can see more of the Kongs like using a hawk to hunt for him, that would be great, right?
And, I personally really like seeing the Skullcrawler again, but like I'm biased to anything MonsterVerse related, so seeing more classic MonsterVerse things is always going to be a big thumbs up to me. That's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer. Go watch the trailer if you think it's a spoiler, but it's not. But yeah, I mean, I think the gore, it could have been a bit more gore. There was some points where I was like, it could be something there, but when they did, I was like, yes! That's some good stuff.
Yeah. Like the human death scenes were solid enough. I mean, obviously it wasn't Castlevania or like the Blood of Zeus or the studio's past work, but like they got a little bit of their spirit into this series. You know, I was glad to see, you know, a leg on the ground, like a severed leg. I was glad to see blood. I mean, we were all questioning how like special the deaths would be in this show, and like they're comparable with the Skull Island movie, just in like a slightly cartoony, kind of less detailed
We've got
way,
some
you
blue
know?
blood in there as well for some monsters that they want to have some gore in there. They've got some blue blood. I think it was blue.
What do we say about the monster fights? Do you think they live up to like the past of Skull Island, or I guess just the monsters in general? Did this Skull Island live up to the past Skull Islands? I mean, we have some amazing Skull Islands in film history. What do you guys
potentially
think? I mean, obviously it's a cartoon.
We don't really get like a lot of them, to be fair. We have like lots of humans interacting with monsters. Kong doesn't really show up until the last 2 episodes, at least fully, like actually being a character in the show. So he gets like 2 monster fights. He has some with the chameleons and then with the giant squid at the end. But like, I was fully entertained watching it, to be fair. I was like really impressed with the levels of animation they managed to get across, like the movements that he was doing. Before watching it, I was like, how are they gonna do the fight scenes? Because if they get it wrong, they're gonna disappoint a lot of people. But from what I've seen on Twitter, is that people are really liking the show. They're actually giving it quite high ratings, and I'd agree. I think all the stuff that monster fans want is in the show.
Yeah, that's a fair take on it.
I think in terms of like the actual fights, you know, with Kong specifically, I think it was realistic in the way that, you know, you have to look at Kong as being an animal that dwarfs basically everything else on that island already, you know, and everything that he's going to run into is going to be almost a squash match, which was, you know, he literally pulled up to the Skullcrawler and killed it in 2 seconds. He literally pulled up to the Giga Croc and ate that thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's what would happen. I mean, what do you expect that thing to, like, actually try to crawl up on him and fight?
It's going to be running up him like a little Naruto character.
Yeah, and the little gecko fights, it makes sense because, you know, they would just, like, crawl up on him and they're, like, you know, working together to try to bring him down. They actually put up a pretty good fight.
And he grabs the tails and starts, like, swinging them around the place.
Yeah, that was a great fight. You know, like, I wasn't worried about the fight scenes. Well, I wasn't originally, because I know how good this studio is at that. Like, they have some crazy visuals in the Castlevania series of like flying around, like some of the most amazing animated combat you can find. And so I wasn't worried about that, and they nailed it with the Kong battles, because they went full on with the gore. There was no like wimpification for younger audiences regarding the monsters. It was really just for the human characters. But overall, yeah, that big battle at the end with Kong and the Kraken, one of the best MonsterVerse fights, I think.
Really?
I think that's fair. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's a cartoon, but like, it was an actual fight. It wasn't just like slap each other for a couple shots and then the camera cuts to some.
Well, I was seeing it almost as like, because it's set in the 90s, so it's before Godzilla versus Kong. I was seeing it more as like training for Kong's interaction with Godzilla, because he gets his ass beaten a little bit, but then he starts to like learn and get his groove on and everything like that. So I was like, this is all a big like training thing for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is cool, and I almost wish this show came out before Godzilla vs. Kong, because it would have like given Kong more of like a backstory of how he could actually compete with Godzilla. So I thought that was cool. But anyway, we got a little bit more time here. Want to rush through this next bit because it's just the human characters, but we have to talk about them because they're the main part of the show. And we're going to start off with the goods and the bads. We've kind of gone over it a little bit. Joe, you mentioned something about the cringe humor. I'm going to add to that. The main characters, there's, I don't know, the one boy with the green hoodie.
Mike.
That's like the main character, kind of. Mike is his name? No, Mike's not the one that got hurt, right?
Green hoodie and Mike's the one.
Charlie's
the one that got hurt. Charlie's the one with the green hoodie.
Mike's the
which goes to show how interesting these characters are.
Charlie, Mike, Annie.
Girl. Yeah, Annie. Yeah. So Mike was actually kind of cool, and I'm pretty sure he was like the same voice actor that did Zuko from Avatar. Maybe not, but
I think he was the kid from The Fabelmans. I think that's who voices him. Someone's watched it somewhere. I'm not going to stop until someone's has.
He's got that classic cartoon character vibe that I like. Charlie, on the other hand, green hoodie boy. Good God, he was annoying. I did not like him. I think it was best when he was just not talking.
Well, his personality trait was, I want to go to college, and that was like it. That was like all he could say throughout it.
And say real goofy stuff. You guys remember, gosh, I'm going blank on his name. What was the cool hip like dude bro from the Godzilla cartoon? What the heck? Why am I going blank?
Was it Randy?
Randy, there's his name. I remember him. Randy! They're always yelling at Randy. He was kind of that character, but just nowhere near as cool, and he was on screen too much.
The captain was cool.
Other than him, I liked all the characters. Annie was cool, on top of the fact that she was ridiculously OP for no reason. But she wasn't really annoying or anything. She was a little.
There were like writing reasons that I don't agree, like writing things I don't agree with necessarily, but like. Her character, her voice actor as well, she does a good job. I mean, all the voice actors here do a good job with what they're given. There's just a line every now and again where I'd go, "Why did you write that?"
Just leave that out. Just leave the really controversial "Are all boys stupid?" comment that was in the trailer that shouldn't have been in the trailer. That scene did not need to be in the show. It was almost like they perfectly threw it in there. But at the end of the day, just ignore it and move on past it because it wasn't that big a deal. But overall, the human characters weren't all that bad. I think my favorite character would have been
the girl from episode 7.
Heck, the tribal girl. Even though she wasn't in it the whole time.
The tribal girl from episode 7 and the captain were like two of my favorite ones because they weren't annoying and they had depth to their characters.
There was a lot to them. Yeah. There was no cliches or anything. They were just really cool character. I wish that that tribal girl would have got more TV. I wish the show would have been about her and Kong, to be honest. So if we could go in and nitpick the hell out of the writing here as much as we want, but if they would have just followed that character, I would have been happy. My only beef with the I guess the story and the lore, other than it not being like a 1930s kind of timepiece or whatever you want to call it, was that it just seemed like they didn't care about the lore too much, and it was more or less just about throwing stuff on the screen.
They completely forgot about the storm that surrounds the island. Nowhere to be seen.
Oh yeah, I was like, where's that storm?
MonsterVerse lore fans, if you allow your brain to be annoyed by this, you're gonna be annoyed by this. There's
things that annoy us. It's where are all the Iwis and where's the storm?
One thing that surprised me, the dog. The relationship between the big dog monster thing and Annie was actually kind of cute and cool, and I think if you're an animal lover or a dog lover, you're going to like that connection.
Yes. I'm glad they made it make sense. They explained it.
Yeah, because when we seen it in the freaking trailers that do not give this show justice. Everyone was like, gosh, that pug monster looks stupid. Guess what? It's one of the best parts about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, so look forward to many more videos here on Dangerville, as well as on GojiCenter and the podcast, The Beast Hub. We're going to talk about this, and we're about to get probably more Godzilla and Kong news here very soon from what I'm hearing. So
we got Comic-Con.
You guys know what to do.
Just do.
Comic-Con and a bunch of other stuff coming out. So stay tuned, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.
I love you.